All right, what's going on? It's Mike Styles, and I'm back at it with another one. And I want to say thanks for taking the time to check me out, and I appreciate all the support that I've been getting the last few weeks here with this. But anyway, let's talk about egos real fast. And I was just sitting back thinking about how sometimes we can let our egos run our lives. You see, the egos that we have can destroy our lives, our relationships, um, our success, and just any happiness that we can find for ourselves. And I think that we just got to kind of focus on keeping our egos in check. Now, don't get the ego, don't get confidence confused with having an ego, because I believe they're two different things. The confidence part, I think, is just it just has a lot to do with having faith and belief in your abilities and skills. But the ego, on the other hand, operates and thrives and feeds off of approval, accolades, praise, validation. And I think a lot of times when the ego starts to take over, that's when our growth just stops. You know, we become stubborn, and it kind of just puts us into a place where we're thinking that we're right all the time and that we know it all. And in addition to that, the ego can push people away from us. And I'm talking about the people, the right people that we need to have around us and in our corner. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that you got to, take everybody's advice and input, but I think it's helpful to just be open to listening, and then just from there, with all things, you take what you can use from it. But see, when the ego is involved, nobody can tell you anything. And what it does, I think, is just it creates this barrier that keeps us from learning from others. And something I realized for myself is that as I've grown older, I learn best from listening and studying from the experiences of others, good or bad. And, again, I think we got to learn to keep our egos in check. But how do we accomplish that? How do we keep our egos in check? How do we learn to keep our egos in check? And, one thing that I thought about and something that, came to my mind was that we got to get rid of the need to control everything. I think we can sometimes have a tendency to hold on too tightly to control. And I think it's because we believe that if we let it go for just a split second, we're not going to be able to predict or guide the outcome, you know what I mean, of whatever it is that we know we're trying to do. And I think it just stems from this fear, this fear of being uncertain about things, especially when it comes to things that are beyond our control. And listen, it's okay to admit that you're uncertain about something or that you don't know. Don't let your pride and ego get in the way of admitting that you don't know something or you're unsure about something. And here's something else that I wanted to kind of throw out there since I was, kind of going about this ego thing. And that is to ask questions, you know what I mean? And it ties into what I was saying, about knowing it all and trying to be right all the time. And the reality is that we don't know everything. I haven't met a person yet who knows everything, right? There's always going to be room for improvement, and there's always room for learning something new. Don't let the egotistical voice in your head keep you from asking questions. Ask questions, even when there's nobody else asking questions, because 9 times out of 10, I'm sure that somebody else might have the same questions that you're asking, and they just might be afraid to ask, And you might feel like a fool for asking your questions, but I think that's how we learn and grow. We learn and grow from asking questions. There's a saying that states, the only dumb question is the one not asked. And this is going to move me into the next thing, since I'm talking about asking questions. It's one thing to ask questions, but we also need to listen. And unfortunately, there are some of us who think we're too good to listen, or that we're above listening to others. And with that mindset, it comes from the ego that we can have, where we may feel that we got it all figured out and that we don't need to listen to anybody else. And I think the thing to understand here is that regardless of what position, we might hold in life, everybody has something worthwhile to say, and everybody has the ability to contribute something of worth. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not saying that we got to go out and just listen to everybody's input, but when you're the one asking the questions, I think it's worth us putting aside our egos and just listening and just hearing people out. We may not agree or be satisfied with the answers that we get, but I think it gives us something to kind of think about and reflect on, and it also allows us to, make ourselves better in the process. Like I said, take what you can use from it. And then also, I think it's just a big sign of respect when we listen to others, especially the people that we've asked questions of. Now, finally, here's something else that I think that can help us keep our egos in check, and that is to not let all the praise and glory go to our heads. And what I mean by that is that when we earn success and when we're successful, it's important to not let it go to our heads because it's not permanent. We may be up 1 minute and then down the next. And understand that where you are today, you may not be there tomorrow because things happen. I mean, we shouldn't go out and look for things to happen, but understand that things can happen. And I get it, man. It feels good, when we get recognition and praise, no doubt about it. So go ahead and pat yourself on the back, but don't get too high off that feeling to the point where you're not treating other people right, because people remember how you made them feel and how you treated them. And when you come down off that high and you're at your lowest point, like I said, people are going to remember that. And then if you need help for any reason, they're not going to be willing to help you. So keep your egos in check. Don't allow it to block positive things and people from coming into your life. Gaining control of your ego and keeping it in check is the best thing I think that we can do for ourselves, our loved ones, our relationships, our careers, and our lives. So just something to think about. And till next time, stay safe. Peace, y'all.